A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth and moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, Anne Abel, who is an author, storyteller, and influencer. Her first memoir, Maddie, Milo, and Me, is about unwittingly rescuing an aggressive dog, was inspired by her Moth Story Slam win in New York City. The current memoir, High Hopes, was inspired by her Moth Story Slam wins in Chicago. Anne was featured in Newsweek's Boomer Story about how she met her husband of 45 years. She holds an MFA from the New School for Social Research, an MBA from the University of Chicago, a BS in Chemical Engineering from Tufts University. She has published on topics ranging from dogs, lovable and difficult, to coping with depression, generational trauma, overcoming writer's block, and being a FaceTime grandmother. She lives in New York City with her husband, Andy, and their Cavapoo puppy. Wow, what a beautiful bio. Thank you so much, Anne, for coming on the podcast and sharing more about your inspiring story.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And I think it's so amazing how High Hopes tells a rapturous story, kind of like reaffirming the inspiration of the self, going through self-discovery and figuring out your purpose. It's so interesting. How did you even begin this journey at the age of 60, seeking to capture Bruce Springsteen energy and fighting off lifelong depression? Were you
Oh,
scared? I feel like this is a great
oh my
message.
God. Okay, well, two things. First of all, that trip turned out to be just the beginning of a transformation that continues today, 12 years later. But going back to that trip, I was 60. At the age of 59, I had never been to a concert. In 1964, when 73 million people tuned into the Ed Sullivan Show to watch the Beatles, 12-year-old me wasn't one of them. My mother saw me turn on the television. She said, "It's a waste of time. Go to your room and do something constructive." And then Labor Day weekend, 2012, my son and daughter-in-law came at the last minute to Philadelphia to visit because they wanted to go to a Bruce Springsteen concert. I knew nothing about him, and I had no interest in seeing him. But a few hours before the show, I pushed myself up off the couch to go because I wanted to spend time with my kids. Now, I suffer with terrible, terrible depression. That summer, I had my third regimen of ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, to treat severe recurrent depression. And the treatment had to be stopped halfway through because I was losing my memory. And because of the memory loss, I didn't remember the July wedding of my son and daughter in law. I didn't remember the ceremony, the guests, anything. But we were there together. Now we were together. I just went. Music was nothing to me. And then as we're sitting, we get to the stadium and we sit down and they start showing me pictures, telling me wedding stories and showing me pictures on their phone. And in one picture, my son and daughter, my Lindsay and Robert, they're flanked on one side by her parents and on the other side by my husband Andy and me. And Lindsay and Robert, the bride and groom, are beaming. Her parents are smiling. Andy's my husband smiling. And I'm just staring into the camera, trance-like, vacant. I'm not smiling or frowning. I'm not there. And looking at the photograph, I felt a jab in my heart. Um, I felt like a tourist in my own life. But then suddenly the crowd mysteriously rose in unison, and I rose too. And up on the stage was the face of a man with the biggest, kindest smile I had ever seen. And I just felt my heart opening to this man and the 40,000 people around me. And his energy filled the stadium, and his energy filled me. I was smiling and clapping and swaying. And for 3+ hours, Bruce Springsteen's energy, enthusiasm, and humanity lifted me. For 3+ hours, he made me feel like I had a chance. He made me feel alive. I'd never, ever felt anything like that before, felt so good. And a year later, after having one death too many thrown at me at the community college where I taught for 5 years. I walked out and thought, that's it, I'm never coming back. But then I was panicking.
If you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner, adult, ballet, and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at balletartsmovement@gmail.com. First class free. TeloVital supports focus, energy, immunity, sleep, recovery, and resilience. Start feeling better today on a cellular level with zeolite, super green juice, micronutrient gut support, and more. Get over 50% off your first order for TeloVital. Link in the description of the podcast.
I was terrified that without the structure and focus of the classroom, I'd slide back into the abyss of depression. And I wasn't doing ECT again. I knew I needed to think outside the box to find a lifeline and find a fast. And then I remembered how hopeful and alive I felt this Springsteen concert. And he was touring in Australia in 4 months. And really, I remember exactly where I was, going onto the expressway. And I thought, I know, I'll go to Australia in February and follow Bruce Springsteen. Now, the thing is, ask if I was terrified. I hate to travel and I hate to be alone. And remember, I hadn't known who this guy was a year earlier, but I really was fighting for my life. I didn't, I'm not the kind of person who can sit on her family room couch alone and try to figure out what's next. I knew I needed to keep moving. So I went home, and within a week, the trip was paid for, planned and paid for, 8 concerts, 5 cities over 26 days. And I will tell you, I was terrified. If I could have just disappeared from the earth and not left anyone sad behind me, I would have done that, but that wasn't an option. And the thing is, as soon as the trip was planned and paid for, the voice in my head said, and you are so pathetic that you have nothing better to do with your life than chase an aging rock star across the world. And you know, but I, and as terrified as I was, as much as I didn't want to do it, I'm persevering. I knew I had to do it, and I went. And I did not go on the trip to change. I just went for structure and focus. But I came home a different person, and it's just been a series of steps since then to where I am now.
Wow, so inspiring. I got chills. It's super, super encouraging. I think what a beautiful message to our listeners who are different ages and going through different feelings or experiences with their mental health. And I think it's so crucial to kind of, like you mentioned, the negative self-talk we have, not to listen to it or to hear it and be like, I hear it. I'm not going to give in, because that negative self-talk can become so overwhelming sometimes that it
Oh,
could just like
it,
overpower us.
yes, it can stop you in your tracks. I mean, every morning, I mean, I don't, for me, depression isn't something that's cured. It's definitely much better, but every morning I still wake up with a thought, and it's like, oh God, how am I going to get through the day? But I just turn off my brain and it's like, just have breakfast, one foot at a time. And I think one of the messages that I want to get across at the age of 72, and this started at the age of 60, it is never too late. It is never too late. Just keep, and actually, one of the, there were two things that changed me on this trip. One was the kindness of strangers in Australia. At home, people rolled their eyes that I was doing this. But in Australia, many people called me courageous, and young people told me they couldn't get their mothers off the couch to do things they had done before they retired. And each time someone said something positive about me, as disbelieving as I was, I stepped outside myself and tried to see the need they were seeing, and it was Bruce Springsteen. I saw things that his confidence, his music, his magic lifted me, and I felt things I had never felt before. And I remember one concert, for example, he went back and forth over and over saying, "How do you get through the day and stay alive inside?" And seeing him do this, I thought, if Bruce Springsteen can say this to an arena full of fans, I must not be the only one feeling like this. It's okay to struggle and to try again. I felt validated, and there was something reassuring about that. And there were many. I'm not saying all his songs were about depression, and believe me, he's a lot of fun. I had never done the three-letter F word fun until I went to one of his concerts. But I think you see art through the prism of your own eyes, and the songs that related to depression or the things he said, he spoke, I heard them, and it was validating for me.
That is so beautiful. I think that's the whole point. We want to feel validated. We want to find avenues or channels that we can feel inspired and feel the energy return to us. So I think that's so beautiful that you found through the portal of music. And it's so interesting because this is the week of Thanksgiving. And the day after Thanksgiving, it's a National Day of Listening. So I thought that was super interesting how it reminds us of the simplicity, but also the power of bonding on a conscious level when we're hearing the frequencies or the vibration of something that offers our cells energy, and that can be so uplifting. That's why it's so crucial to choose the music we listen to. Like, I grew up performing ballet. I grew up dancing at the School of American Ballet, then performing at Lincoln Center with New York City Ballet. So music to me, it's also so healing. The orchestra music, the live music, it's so fantastic. The kind of like synchronicity with every instrument merging, and then the dancers are dancing. It's so wonderful. I think it is a great message also to connect with music as a portal to healing.
Right. Actually, in some you use the word open and connection. Thinking about this transformation that I've gone through, I realized that there were four guiding principles that helped me. I mean, I didn't know it at the time. The first one was connection. You know, when even if you don't see the path to a transformation, the most powerful thing I think you could do is to take the first step toward a connection to someone or something. And in my case, I grabbed onto Bruce Springsteen and his music. So that was the first thing.
Unlock your best life with Soul app. Book a holistic wellness experience with a trained guide and start changing your life today with compassion practices, inner healing, food and diet, and so much more. Tap into a healthier and happier life with the number one purposeful living app in the US, the Soul app, link in the description of the podcast. Sanger Daniel's online seminar promoting a positive message of self-healing with bioenergy work together with live seminars and remote coaching. Use code BIO20 for a 20% discount for our audience. Link in the description of the podcast.
And also, and then openness. Like when I went to that first concert, I didn't care about Bruce Springsteen or the music. I was just going to be with my kids. And when the concert started, if I had just crossed my arms and said, "Okay, now I have to listen to this blaring music," it turned out that I was open. Like the music filled me, and I let it. I let it. I was open to what was coming. So I think connection, openness, and perseverance, there's no question. I mean, you just have to keep putting that one foot in front of the other, even if you don't feel like it. Just, just that Nike thing. Just do it. And I think hope is really important because it makes the persevering a little easier. Like I work out every day when my body will let me. Um, and when I start, I can't believe I'm going, but I take it 1 minute at a time. And then I'll think about like, what sweater do I want to wear afterwards? What sock? And that will like help, like motivate me. So I think those four things, connection, perseverance, openness, and hope, if you can just, try to find things like that, it can help you. Even if you don't know where you're going, you don't need to know where you're going. You just need to keep moving.
That's amazing advice, and I think it's so great coming from somebody who experienced that herself. You channeled all this energy into transformation, and just like you mentioned, a day at a time. I think that's such a crucial reminder to integrate into our daily routine, because then we don't have to overthink. We kind of just we include this mentality, and we have to just go along with it, and soon enough, hopefully, it will be integrated into our daily lifestyle. And It's so amazing that Newsweek has published an article, Boomer's story about how she met her husband of 45 years, and that has gone viral. That's so interesting. And I just remember that going through astrology and talking about the different signs that we go through, like the millennials, we have this planet of Pluto in Scorpio. And for a whole group of people from 1981 through 1996, those millennials are going through a period in their lives in transformation, rebirth, death, feeling the destruction, and kind of rising through the phoenix. And boomers, the energy of astrology is Pluto in Leo. So people born 1939 through 1957 have this energy of Leo. So they are all about self expression, individual growth, putting a spotlight on a personal identity. So I think your story manifests in such a beautiful way that you really wanted to put yourself out there and figure out a way to just understand yourself in a way that makes you feel present and joy. And I think that's a beautiful journey for sure.
I mean, I just couldn't go slide, I was 60 years old. I figured I knew myself as well as anyone, any mental health. I just wasn't doing, I had done everything everyone told me to do and it hadn't helped. So I just decided I needed to think outside the box. I mean, sometimes you have to do that. And again, persevere. I love the Nike slogan, just do it. I mean, just like you said, don't overthink it. Just do it. And then you
Exactly.
don't feel guilty about it. If you don't do it, and that's the other thing, procrastinating. If you procrastinate it, just do it and get it over with. And then you'll feel good. At least you'll feel good that you did it, I mean, I do so many things so that I won't feel guilty at the end of the day. And it's a good feeling, like check all the boxes. Um,
Yes,
Sometimes
I love that.
probably too many boxes.
Podpitch is the first and only software that finds, writes, and sends pitches to podcast hosts from your actual email address. Podpitch will make sure you get podcast bookings, guaranteed. Link in the description of the podcast. ClickFunnels easily build any type of online business and sales funnel in record time, no matter what your product, service, or niche, without any tech design or experience whatsoever. Try the ClickFunnels 14-day free trial. Link in the description of the podcast. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. I also went on your Instagram and I saw so many inspiring posts about New York City, the viral, meal of the day, finding different treats and really nice events to do, even to do during the holiday season. I know the bread and butter of New York City has been the Nutcracker Ballet, which I love performing. And as a child, it was so much fun. So, for people who are in New York City, what are some of your favorite things to do during the holiday season?
Oh, well, we've been doing the holiday markets. I personally, I love the theater. I mean, I love off Broadway, off Broadway, Broadway. I don't think you can go wrong. There's just so much. There's whatever you're into, it's here in New York. That's one of the many things I love about New York City. People say to me, I still don't like to travel, but they'll say, "So are you going away?" And I go, "No, I moved to New York, so I wouldn't have to go away. There's so much to do here."
Exactly. It's like the life of the party. The central theme of the
Yes,
holiday season is almost like surrounding New York City. I saw you have an upcoming TEDx speech coming up.
yeah, next week actually. Yes, I know.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's just, again, and when I talk about this transformation, the social media, when the first book came out, the publishers told me I should go on social media to promote it, which seemed daunting. All I knew was Facebook, which someone had put me on 15 years ago. But that afternoon, my dog walker came in and I said, "Do you know anyone who does social media?" So she gave me the name of this 19-year-old computer science major at CUNY. His name is Arseni, who did social media for her. And as I now call him Maestro or Steven Spielberg. We've had 26 viral videos, and I have over 720,000 followers on the TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And this is something else I didn't want to do, but I talked a lot. I mean, now we do a lot about going around New York because people love that. But I also talk a lot about mental health and depression. And people, it was when we were first starting, people would write and they'd say, "Oh, thank you so much." They'd say these how I was inspiring, or my voice was calming or soothing, and it was like, "What are you talking about?" Been really, it's taken on a life of its own. It's not so much to promote the books, but just to share. And I tell people when they write, I love sharing stories, ideas, places, and things. So it gives me energy to share with people, and people to share with people who want to share. You can't share by yourself. You need someone to share with. So it's another connection. It's another way of connecting.
That's so beautiful. And I think just your story and your inspired wisdom is the fact that you're truly authentic in how you're expressing. I think that is the truly transparent part that is super healing for the community and for people who resonate. That's what they're craving for. That's what they're searching for, this idea of connecting with authenticity and the expression part. So it's fantastic. You're doing absolutely beautiful work.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. And where can people also connect with you and see your content?
Oh, ANNESIMAABEL. So it's my name, Anne Abel, and it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm also on YouTube, but I don't ever go look at the YouTube. And we went to the Bryant Park Holiday Market last week to do some. 8 people came up to me. A woman who was here in New York from South Africa for a week. She came up to me. She recognized me. I mean, all over the world. It's just amazing.
That's fantastic. You're becoming the life of the party in New York City. That's
Well,
fantastic.
I don't know about that, but I mean, it's pretty amazing when a woman from South Africa comes up and says, "I just got here yesterday. Can I follow you?" So.
Amazing. That's so fantastic. And what any last word advice for people who are a little bit shy, a little bit reserved, maybe they do have a fear of putting themselves out there, trying something new.
I'll tell you, I'm still not used to going. When we're doing a video, Arsenio will just say, "Oh, here, okay, here's the thing." Even when people were saying all these positive things about me, I didn't, I didn't incorporate it, and it's not like I woke up in the morning thinking, "Oh, another great day to tell a great story," because I didn't feel like the person these people were describing. But when it's 3, 2, 1, go, just do the video. You just do it. I don't want to say that too many times, but just do it. I used to say to my kids when they were growing up and they were afraid to try something, what's the worst that will happen? Just push yourself and do it. And then you don't have to wonder, should I have done it? And really, what's the worst that's going to happen? Maybe you feel a little silly. Maybe you make a mistake. It won't be, you're not the first one. Just do it.
Yes, exactly. And maybe you learn something about yourself in the process, which is always a plus.
And if you make a connection, it's so wonderful when you make a connection. It makes it all worthwhile.
100%, yes. Thank you so much, Anne, for coming on the podcast and sharing your inspiration and your story. You are truly an inspiration, so I'm sure our listeners are going to take notes and hopefully they'll also just do it.
Right, right. Just persevere and
Yes,
hope. All
exactly.
right. Thank you, Ari.